Well, hello everybody. Patrick Ossis here. Let me get some stuff started here. We'll wait for some people to join up. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. All right. I'll be flying it solo tonight, so I may not be as quick as I usually am on the chat without my co-pilot. So be advised, but I will be checking your messages. So I got pretty good show planned for you guys. I wanted to talk about the weapons that Paddock used. So I wanted to bring up. I've done a lot of research on these weapons. So anyway, we'll kind of go through it. But I found out some interesting things. But I think it'd be best if we go over them, weapon by weapon, and we can see a lot better what happened with it. So give me a second here. Let me share my screen. Jesus. All right. Yeah, hide this thing. Can you go away, please? All right. Okay, so now I've got some notes here, so bear with me because I'm going to have to look here and then look down at my notes to tell you exactly what's going on. But just as a quick note to the color coding here, if you see this pinkish color, that means this was a weapon that was fired during the event. So this was a weapon that was actually used, or the bullets were fired from it during the October 1st massacre. Now, if you see green, that means that's a weapon that was not used. And give me 1 second. I got a problem with my other device here. Bear with me. All right. So, why is this thing not working? I really need to get a new phone. All right, so let's jump into this. Okay, so I went through these weapons, and this is all based off of the FIT report. The report that the Las Vegas police did. So I'm just going to go through these weapon by weapon and kind of explain what happened with this. So this first one with the serial number 1984, which is a Colt. Give me 1 second to find it right here. So this one, he fired 100 rounds through it. 100 bullets actually went through it. He just threw it on the ground. It was a standard M4 carbine with a bump stock foregrip, 100-round magazine in it, and front sight only, no rear optics of any kind. And this was fired. Oh, hey, little monster pants. Yeah. By the way, it's my birthday, everybody. So that's what Little Monster Pants is saying. I need to get a new phone for my birthday. I hate this phone. I don't know an Android or something. I don't know. It's horrible. I hate it. I don't know. Maybe it was me. I probably screwed it up. Is it an LG? Oh, okay. Well, chat might liven up now. It looks like I got my co-pilot with me now. So there we go. And she informs me that it's an LG. So yeah, I don't mix well with LGs. Samsungs are better, according to the moderator here. So anyway, what we learned from this first weapon here is it looks like he just fired out. He had a 100-round mag in it, one of those surefire magazines that's loaded with 100 rounds. He fired it into the crowd. He has no rear sight, so he's just got a front sight, which, I mean, that doesn't help a whole lot. So, I mean, it's better than nothing, but you'll see other weapons that he fired that have absolutely nothing on it. But anyway, he fired 100 rounds through it. Oh, hey, KL. I keep glancing down at you guys' stuff here. Sorry. Thank you, KL. Thanks, Salvador. Oh, yours, Salvador Ramos's birthday was yesterday. Lots of October birthdays. Lots of Libras, I guess we are. Thank you, CL. So that's about the story with this one. He looks like he just fired off the magazine there and threw it in the floor and continued on. So the second one, let me find it on my sheet here. This strange. I wasn't familiar with this one, but so what happened with this is he fired 33 rounds through it. Now he has a 40-round magazine in it, so there's a couple of different options. If you have brand new magazines, it's hard sometimes to load them to capacity, and we all know from what apparently Mary Lou Danley told the FBI that she was loading magazines too, apparently. So I don't know if somebody just didn't load this all the way or if it jammed. I'm kind of leaning more towards it jammed. Um, but anyway, it has a bump stock on it, foregrip, had the 40-round magazine, like I mentioned. Uh, and it looks like it has a EOTech on it too. So that was that one. And no attempt to reload or anything. He just set it down and went to another one. Now this LWRC was not used. You can see where it was placed. So this was never fired. It has no sights on this of any kind or optics. This POF USA P308 was not fired, which is an AR-10. Let's see. This Christian Arms, what's the serial number? 625. Let me find it on my sheet here. Christian Arms 625. Okay, so this had a 100-round magazine in it. He only fired 21 rounds out of it. That tells me it jammed, and he just threw it on the ground. So it had no sights or optics. So obviously he wasn't being very particular about who he was firing on. And another reason, I've said this before about the bump stocks. Like I was trained in the military, that the easiest way to jam an AR or M4 or M16 type rifle is by jerking it around while you're firing it. Now, the way the bump stock works is it's basically jerking the weapon around, bouncing it back and forth to get to simulate fully automatic fire. I cannot imagine. I don't know what the hell's going on inside the chamber of that weapon. So I don't know if it's because of the bump stock or if he just never took the packing grease out of the weapons or he doesn't know how to maintain weapons. I'm kind of thinking it's a little of both. Because there's just some things about these weapons that leads me to believe he's very amateurish in what he's doing. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to fire a weapon with no sights or optics. I mean, that's just really kind of stupid, but it's what he did. All right, let me check what's going on live stream. Oh, yeah, Little Monster Pants was a Libra. Had a birthday last week. Yeah, lots of Libras. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Brian. And Chrissy says, how's everybody? All right, so move on from the Christian Arms there. So this next one, POF USA, which is a P15, has a last of 179. All right, so this weapon was fired. He fired 95 rounds through this one, and then dumped it on the ground. It looks like had no sights and no optics. Had a bump stock and a vertical foregrip. So again, with the magazine that's in it is a 100-round magazine, but like I said, when you buy especially large capacity magazines, they're really hard to load when they're brand new. So I don't know if somebody just didn't load it all the way, Mary Lou Danley didn't load it all the way, or Paddock didn't load it all the way, or it jammed. So there's that. All right, this Colt competition weapon that's sitting here in the chair, according to the report, that was not used. Now, the Smith & Wesson 342 Airlight TI, which is the alleged suicide weapon of Mr. Paddock. And the story with this one is it's a small 38 revolver. It was fired one time. So with 4 cartridges and 1 expended cartridge case, so giving it a grand total of 5 rounds with 1 spent, according to the Las Vegas report. And that's the one that was found above his head. Now, this one, this LWRC that he fell on or laid on or whatever. Let me take a look. What is that? 902. RC 902. All right. So the story with this one is it fired 12 rounds and it had a 100-round magazine in it. So I feel very comfortable in calling that an obvious jam. I think he just jammed it immediately and then threw it on the ground. He had a bump stock vertical foregrip and a 100-round mag, in which he only fired 12 out of it, and an EOTech optic on it. Now, this one that was set up right in front of the window here, this AR-10, was not fired, according to the report. This Daniel defense weapon here, AR-10, with the bipod scope 25-round magazine, was not fired. This FNH 293, FNH 293. This one was fired. Now, this is an interesting one. 153 rounds were fired through this. So that means he fired one of these Surefire magazines of 100 rounds, dropped the magazine, did a reload, and looks like he got 53 rounds off of the next round until he got a jam. And like I said, that could be off of how the bump stock functions. Maybe he wasn't using it right, or he just didn't know how to maintain weapons, or maybe he never took the packing grease out. There's numerous reasons. But this is one of the few weapons that I can definitively say he did reload. Now, this next one, the POF USA 178. All right, so this one, I call this the gun couch, where he threw all these. This weapon fired 100 rounds, and he just threw it in the gun couch, and that's going to be the story for most of these weapons in the gun couch. He had a bump stock vertical foregrip and 100-round magazine with an EOTech optic on it. So this Colt M4, or what's the last one? That 124 Colt 124. He fired 96 rounds out of that one. So again, I don't know if he just didn't have it loaded all the way or if it jammed, but he got 96 rounds off with that and then threw it back on the couch. Had a bump stock vertical foregrip 100-round magazine. Daniel Defense 629. This one, he got 95 rounds off with that. And like I said, same story. Don't know if it was full or it jammed on him. It had a bump stock vertical foregrip, 100-round mag, and a EOTech optic. LMT 745. This weapon, he got 100 rounds off and just threw it on the couch. So he fired the full capacity of the magazine that he had in it. It was equipped with a bump stock vertical foregrip and had no sights or optics. So he was just pointing it in the general direction and firing away. Now this Daniel Defense V11. Where is this? Or wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. 7.2. All right, so he got 100 rounds off with this. Let me verify. Yeah, this one. He got 100 rounds off with this one. Has bump stock. It says it has a vertical foregrip. It says it has no magazine, but yet in the picture you can clearly see there's a magazine, and it had an EOTech optic on it. So 100 rounds, and he put it there. And then whoever did this report, apparently, what surprises me? You got to think about. I mean, I've worked in the administrative world ever since I got out of the military, and I know how in organizations how big documents, especially ones that are going to be seen by the public, are reviewed over and over and over and over again, and all these people get their say in it, and everybody's looking for mistakes. This for some reason, this saying no magazine and a picture of this weapon with a magazine in it actually has two magazines plus the box right here full of them. And it never dawned on anybody that that's not correct. Now, I'm not saying it's a huge deal, but it shows a lack of attention to detail and the sloppiness of the report. So just kind of pointing that out. All right, the Sig Sauer 716 that's laying on the floor here. This was not fired. This one that he had set up right near the front door, where some of the first pictures we all saw that, had AR-10 30, or correction, it's a 308 that he had pointed. Kind of, I'm assuming he thought he could use this as some kind of a defense weapon if somebody breached the door, but it has no magazine in it. But anyway, it wasn't fired. So that's it for 135. Now we're going into 134. So this FNH 383. FNH. Okay, so this weapon was fired 144 times with a 100-round mag still in it. So this is another weapon where he actually fired it and reloaded it. Sorry about that. He actually fired it and reloaded it, and it had, according to this, it had no sights and no optics. So my guess is he fired a 100-round surefire mag, dropped it, loaded another one, got 44 rounds out of that one before it jammed, and he just threw it on the bed. This Ruger American, which I believe this is the weapon he bought that day, according to the report, this was not fired. I'm just telling you what the report says. This LMT AR-10 was not fired. And this Ruger right here was the last part, 026. Ruger 026. All right, this weapon was fired 6 times. This is an AR-10, so it fires the bigger 308/762 round. It had a bipod scope and 25-round magazine, so he got off 6 rounds with that. And then this other AR-10, this LMT 300 AMT or LMT 300, he got a total of 2 rounds off with this, and it had a 25-round magazine scope. So I suspect these weapons were the ones aimed at the fuel tank, but I mean, considering these are only AR-10s fired or 308 caliber weapons fired, according to their report anyway. So that is what I have come up with. So what does all this mean? What does this say to me? Well, let me look at your comments first, and then I'll go into that. Let me see what everybody's saying here. Secret Safe With You says, we don't see a 53 round burst in shots listed capture. Let me see. Secret Safe With You says, captured on audio, or this is continuation of your earlier comment. Lists capture, so the full statement was, we don't see a 53 round burst in the shots listed captured on audio. Wonder how he shot the first 100, then reloaded and shot 53. There's a 43 round burst is the closest thing. Yep. I hear you. I'm just telling you what the report says. So I took the information about what the forensics of what they said was fired, and I compared it to these weapons here. That was all I did. So I'm not staking my reputation on this. I'm just telling you this is what they're saying. Oh, and there's the car there. But so what do I see? I've said this before. I mean, most of you that follow my channel know I have a military history. I'm retired military. I understand military operations and things very well, and I was an anti-terrorism person, so I understand that stuff. This is just anybody to bring this many weapons up there for one individual is really overkill, and it actually made the logistics of it make it more of a burden than anything else, in my opinion. I don't know. I would really like to know, and there's probably no way I'll ever find this out, but I really would like to know if those weapons, what they look like. Were they badly maintained or what? Because I'm really curious about the jams. If that was because of poor maintenance, the bump stock, or what. But I don't think I'm ever going to be able to see that. So, there's a couple of possibilities. Maybe he went out to the range and he tried firing off 100-round bursts with these things and figured out they jam frequently. So his idea was, instead of bothering to clear the jam or do whatever, well, I'll just trade weapons repeatedly. That's one possibility. Another is maybe he thought the barrels would overheat. So he would keep switching. Maybe that's what he thought. I don't know. I mean, who knows? It's really a guessing game to know what was in that person's head. So, but yeah, there could be big problems with what the Las Vegas police say happened with these and what the audio actually captured. these are all these other weapons that he bought. And it's really true. I've been looking into his weapons purchases, and he basically bought handguns and things at a pretty regular rate since the early 80s. But it looked to me, I'm guessing that he was a concealed carry guy. He probably carried a lot, because it would look like he would buy like a concealed carry revolver or something, and then a year later or so he'd buy another one. And then there was a stretch in the 90s where he bought a lot of weapons, and then he kind of buys them frequently throughout his life. But of course, when during 2016-17 timeframe, it just exploded exponentially, especially 2017. Little Monster Pants says that many guns for just one person is a liability. Makes zero common sense to me to do this type of crime. Exactly. And Brian Eskew says, weird, he apparently shot through the door twice, but still felt the need to kill himself. At the time, he did see nobody was coming yet. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't know. Did he panic? Did he, as we would call it in the military, bitch out? Did he wimp out? Did he? I don't know. I don't know. It's strange. But I'll tell you honestly, I see a lot of amateurness in all this. I mean, the way the weapons are set up, the way, most shooters, you have weapons set up, like for me, the way, like any AR that I handle, I like to have my foregrip in a certain position, right about here. That's where I like to have it. Now, if you look at some of the weapons he has foregrips all over the place. Way forward, some way back, some in the middle. It's like he just kind of threw them on haphazardly. One there. Look at one up there. This one in the tannish one foregrip there has one way forward. This one a little more mid-level. This one way forward. It's kind of amateur hour. You don't see that usually with professional shooters. They don't, they like their weapons a certain way. And it just looks to me like he bought a bunch of crap, went up there, thought, kind of like he thought just by having this much crap, that would be his insurance. He didn't really need to know how to clear a jam or how to maintain them well or anything like that. He just simply bought the ammo, went up there. I mean, his tactics are pretty stupid. I mean, I don't know. I see amateurness all over it. It's what I see looking at it from with a kind of a military mindset, or one as a, looking at it from a weapons point of view. I mean, yeah, tell me one soldier that would go out there with no optics, with some of these, look at like a lot of these, some of these that he fired had absolutely no sights, no optics. Who the hell would do that? I understand that this clown was just trying to spray in a mass crowd, and you didn't really need to aim that much. But I mean, I don't know. It just shows a lot of poor planning to me, and a lot of amateurness and crap maybe he saw in a movie and thought that it would work. I don't know. And like the point was brought up about why did he blow his head off, like Brian said, why did he blow his head off when there was nobody at the door? It took him forever to get there, and I've said it before and I've said it again. It's a good thing that it appears dead when those officers went up there to place the charge on the door, because like I said, they were completely exposed. That guy had a ballistic shield, but that wasn't rated for rifle fire, and it would have zipped through that thing like it was made through a styrofoam. All those, about 4 officers were exposed right there. I know the one officer, the canine officer, put the camera down, but he still would have seen that they'd moved in there, and he could have shot right through it. He could have wiped that whole little squad out right there, in my opinion. So it's really a good thing that he managed to that there was no armed resistance by the time that for the Las Vegas police, because that would have been horrendous if he would have been just sitting there waiting for him. And he had the weapons, set up like he was going to make some kind of a defense. You put this one on a bipod right here. He had his weapons placed in different areas. The gun couch here, that just appears to be a place where he fired a weapon. The weapons and just threw them right there. That seems to be the purpose of that invention. There's another. Look at that foregrip. It's way up in the front, and then you've got other ones weighing it. It's just amateur hour, man. I don't know. I just, I don't know. This isn't like some big ninja assassin type plan. This is a guy with a lot of money who's watched too many movies, and uh, when push came to shove, and I mean, he probably thought the police were going to be there way quicker than they actually were. You know, maybe he really did wimp out and just like, you know, like I can't take them on. You know, bang. He towards the end of his firing there, he did target that cluster of police that were in the intersection there. So obviously he knew they were coming for his ass, but I really don't think he realized how long it was going to take him. I'm looking at your guys' chats here. Mm-hmm. True Seeker in the house. And Little Monster Pants says, I'm sure he expected the cops much sooner. Everybody did. Yeah, everyone did. I did. I really thought they were, you know, and like I've said before, you can see in the body camera, there's a couple of those officers that get up there and they're all raring to go. And then it's just like that idea just kind of falls through the floorboard. And but you have those officers that are on the 31st floor listening to the shooting that just stopped. And that still really irritates me. Brian Eskew says, has anyone been able to replicate the sound of the fire with the bump stop? Hey, you know what, Brian? I think I got a present for you. So, as you guys probably know, I'm an avid shooter. I shoot a lot. I go target shooting, and all the time, almost every weekend. And I wear a body camera because the place, for two reasons. If I'm missing with a particular firearm for a certain way, I can tell why I'm doing it because I have it mounted on a hat like above my head. So I can look at my grip and see if maybe I'm holding the weapon wrong or something like that. Or if I get a jam, I can see exactly what went wrong. Another reason I have it, if you guys are followers of my old channel, you should know one time I was wearing that body camera out there and I got ricochet hit me in the head. A 223 ricochet. So anyway, that's why I wear a body camera out there in case something ever happened and legal action or whatever, because it's not a regulated range I go to. It's kind of just like an open shooting area. But anyway, the point of the whole story is while I was wearing that thing, my body camera, it was on, this guy right next to me fired off like 4 magazines in a row with a bump stock, and I recorded the whole thing. So I could put that audio out there for you. I don't want to put the guy, my body cam. I don't want to put the video of him on there because that's not cool to do. But I would have no problem like getting the audio, and so we can compare it, what that bump stock sounded like compared to that. So if something you want me to do, I can. If you give me a couple days, I could get the find that clip and cut that audio and put it in there. And True Seeker says maybe they engaged a suspect, so he is dead currently. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was funny. It's a reference to Lombardo's first press conference. Oh yeah. That Brian says close call. Yeah, dude and the guy had a fully automatic weapon where I caught the round in the head. I mean, it wasn't a bump stock. It was a legitimate full automatic AR. And I was walking back and I took a bullet in the head. It hit something. So it didn't penetrate the skin or anything, but it hurt really bad. And yeah, so anyway, that's why I always leave my camera on when I go out there in case something ever happened. But yeah, I could, I'll put that audio out for you. Just give me a couple days to find it. And like I said, I don't want to put the video up. I don't want to, what's it called? Dox people or whatever. But I don't have a problem with just taking the audio of it. And Brian says, I know it will change with different rifles and even magazines. Yeah, but it'd be something to look at, though. It'd be interesting to see what it, what a regular bump stock sounds like. I might throw in, how I have all those news coverage things. I have a couple news clips where guys were demonstrating with bump stocks. But these guys were like professionals, and they knew how to hold it the exact way to make it fire right, not jam. So I don't know. It seemed to me like Paddock doesn't know what he's doing. But and it'd be worthwhile. And the cycle rates maybe cycled, but well, not really, because you're dealing with a bump stock that's moving back and forth. So should be pretty accurate. But yeah, I'll dig it up. Yeah, because the guy was right next to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna fire this bump stock off. Just letting you know." I'm like, "Okay," and he just right next to us. And he's like, "Oh, okay." So that's what that's like. I heard plenty of fully autos in the military, and fully autos just sound so much cleaner than those bump stocks do to me. Those bump stocks just sound like labored. I don't know. They just don't. Sound unusual to me. I mean, I'm just too used to the regular autos. But I still want to know whether I got that bullet ricochet. I would love to know why that dude had a fully automatic AR out there. It was kind of a bizarre scene. He was like shooting these weird targets, and so I don't know. It was bizarre. Bizarre, but I guess you can have a certain license to have those, but I don't know. Every gun store I've ever been to, they don't have full autos. I was led to believe those aren't legal. Which, by the way, the bump stock was passed under Obama's watch, just if anybody was curious. So he went after green tips, if you're familiar with that. Obama wanted the ATF to outlaw green tips, which are a very popular hunting round used in AR-type rifles. He wanted to ban that, but yet they let the bump stock go through and be legalized, and that was a device that made these weapons fully automatic. Oh, you gotta love the government. It's awesome. You see, this is what happens when you have bureaucrats and politicians making decisions when they should have weapons experts making these decisions. Just pointing that out. Marie D's saying, throwing this out there, anybody know who and where transported Campos around 1 a.m. at that night? Per Metro, Campus is being transported per body-worn camera. Brian thinks they took him to the vet. Well, it'd be interesting. It seems to me he got snatched up by the MGM people, probably, because they were probably scared to death that this guy, this lowly paid dude is gonna, say some stupid crap that's gonna line them into a bunch of liability lawsuits. We could see how. I mean, look at how MGM acted. They sued the victims, for God's sakes. So it's certainly not below them to keep this a sock in this guy's mouth and basically, run him around town and tell him what he can and cannot say and who he can and cannot talk to. Apparently, they thought Ellen was a safe bet. Can't imagine why. Maybe it had something to do with the business dealings she has with Vegas and MGM. I don't know. Till much later. Truth Seeker says, Marie, he did not get medical attention till much later at an urgent care. Yeah, that it's now it pretty much whenever it's brought up, what Paddock, it's brought up in the report, he was hit by a bullet fragment. So I've seen in a lot of the pictures of the ammo that Paddock had that he was using what are known as polymer tip rounds, and basically that's a hollow point with a fake plastic polymer nose on it, so it'll be more aerodynamic. But what tends to happen is when what those are designed to do is they hit a person, that little polymer tip falls off, and then the hollow point part hits you, the round expands, cause more damage. But if you fire through a strong enough door, it'll probably break the bullet up, it'll fragment the bullet and cause it to come out almost like a shotgun in a way. It could happen. I mean, most of those rounds probably went through okay. They may have tumbled, but it is a possibility that a round broke apart because if you're using those polymer tips or those hollow points, it's a pretty common occurrence. It's a little home defense tip for you. Like I like in case, God forbid, if anybody ever broke into my house at night or something, I make sure my pistols always have hollow points in them because, depending on the circumstances, if I had to defend my family or whatever, I don't want those rounds going anywhere rather than into the bad guy. And you don't want those rounds zipping through walls and stuff like that. So any of you guys, if you have weapons at home that you keep for home defense or something, if somebody broke in your house, be mindful of that. Think about what type of ammo you're using. You know, a lot of people use like ARs for home defense and stuff, and or AR pistols, and there's nothing. I'm not nothing wrong with that, but I'm just letting you know those rounds zip through walls really easily. So be mindful of that. But anyway, enough of that. All right, let's see here. Mm, uh, Little Monster Pants says Marie, he would have been tarred and feather if he actually taken up a critical ambulance space for his tiny microscopic wound that night. Yeah, that could have played badly. Metro transported him somewhere, but MGM transport would make more sense. And Kale says Campos had medical attention the night of the shooting. His short initial statement was taken at the hospital or care facility he was at. Yeah, it was not a bad wound. I can tell you that. If he got hit by a 223 round dead in his calf, he wouldn't have been wandering around the way he was and all, all calm and whatnot. It'd be a little bit more painful, especially if one of those round, like a direct hit with one of those polymer tips, that would have done a lot of damage. So it's lucky for him that he just caught a fragment. But yeah, but so he Paddock was apparently man enough to fire on Campos when he was unarmed security. If you're believing the Las Vegas version of Las Vegas police version of events, Paddock was ready to fire on Campos as he walked down the hallway. An unarmed security guard. I don't know if he knew he's unarmed or not, but he fired on them no problem. But he just couldn't wait for the plea or didn't want to engage them, so he just offed himself. I guess that's the theory they're going with. And I think Lombardo even said that one of his press briefings that he saw we were closing. His theory is that he saw that they were closing in and he got scared and popped himself. I don't know. Marie D says, yes, he says he went to Siena Rose Hospital and gave a voluntary report to Henderson detectives. Yeah. And then it was that before or after the Ellen show? Before, right? That whole interview creeps me out. I got to tell you, whenever I watch, I watched it a couple times, and it's just I don't know. There's something about it. I mean, I don't know. Just the whole setup of that thing is weird to me. But I'm just suspicious that way. I'm sure everything was above board. Oh, look, the blue plastic hose funnel, fan, and scuba mouthpiece attached. I still can't get over that. What a stupid idea. How dumb. It's just such a dumb thing to do. So, I mean, and it looks to me when I went through his ATF record of his weapons that he purchased, and it looks to me that he may have had a lot of experience with handguns, but his experience with rifles, the first time he had any kind of AR type platform is he bought one in 1991, I believe it was, which was kind of a standard CAR 15 type or AR 15 type, one of the older versions, and I don't know if he did that because he knew the assault weapons ban was going to come into effect or whatever, but he bought that. But it seems to me he must have had considerable experience with pistols because he's been buying them for decades. But I don't think, as far as using these military type weapons, I think his knowledge was extremely limited, at least judging by what I see in that scene there. His tactical knowledge is disgusting. I mean, it's abysmal. Those weapons are just all over the place. Like I said, no real, trained human being would go into battle with a weapon that had no sights. That's just so stupid. And to have these grips set up in different places and just little things like that, the whole picture just spells amateur hour. But I guess we just all have to come to our own conclusions on that. But judging by what evidence I have available, which is basically this report, I can only go off of that. And and I do find it weird too that rifle he bought, was it the day of, uh, was not fired. Where is it? Wasn't I believe it was this Ruger that he bought. I believe it was that day or the day before or whatever it was. I believe it was that day though. And that wasn't fired. A little strange, but so I don't know. Whatever he had planned, I think let's pretend for a moment that this was the plan. That Las Vegas police are correct and everything in this report's fine, except for the obvious mistakes, like saying there's magazines and what no magazines when there are and things like that. Okay, let's just say that. So what was the plan? Apparently, he thought that if he fired on the crowd, they would move towards the airport, which they did. People were all over the airport. It went over the police radio that people were getting on there. They had to shut down the airstrip and all that kind of stuff. So I guess what he thought his act two would be firing on the fuel tanks, causing a massive explosion that would probably take out all of the survivors that were trying to get away from the massacre, and probably blow up half the airport, and cause death, destruction, and chaos on biblical scale. And then he probably thought he could somehow maybe sneak away. Maybe that was it. And he thought, maybe he could fight his way out. I don't know. Get to his vehicle, drive somewhere else, fire a pistol into those tannerite and crap he had in his car, and make it a little suicide bomb. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was, but from what I see, when all this, whatever he planned, didn't happen. I mean, aside from breaking a window and shooting a whole bunch of innocent people, whatever else he was expecting to go on, I don't think happened. But that's just my opinion. Let me read yours. All right. And Truth Seeker says, I wonder why he went to an urgent care again after then. Little Monster Pants was asking Marie, did he use the word voluntary? Seems like an odd word to use. Well, those voluntary statement, I mean, being, a little experience in that realm, I believe that's just what they're called. It's a voluntary statement. Because, I mean, typically, like police lingo, they'll say, yeah, she gave me or he gave me a voluntary. You don't say voluntary statement, and just shortly you say voluntary. Kind of, you can, sometimes cops can use that as leverage, like, well, if you give me a voluntary statement saying you saw him with the drugs, you'll be a witness, not a suspect, crap like that. And I complete. Marie D says, and I did complete a Henderson voluntary at that time, Campos says during the interview. He said, and I did complete a Henderson voluntary at that time. He's got the lingo down. Central Internet Agent says, interesting. He's asking about, what about Corey Langdon? True Seeker says, PDF 10 page 81. Search Campos statement. What? Oh, I'm on top. Here's Campo, at least what they say in this part of it. He was advised by this. It's just the usual crap we already heard. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think this is just what he saw during the event. Yep. Little Monster Pants. I'm inclined talking to Brian says, again, I'm inclined to think Paddock was indeed a superhero like we discussed. Fills in all the blanks, doesn't it? That's how he's in two places at once, etc. Per final report. CIA says Corey Langdon is the taxi driver that was recording under the Mandalay Bay while the shooting was going on. So that's the one where you heard the sound of the shooting where it sounded like it was close, and then one where it was further away. And Corey tries to tell people, "Hey, there's a shots fired," and they're just like, "What?" They're like just standing around right there. Marie says also during the interview, Campos said he had a consultation with a surgeon at some point, and the surgeon advised if they remove bullet fragments in his leg could do more damage. So bullet fragments still in. And Blifton one says, does it seem strange to anyone else that all this planning, the guns and ammo, just seemed to be strewn all over the place? That's what I meant by whatever was planned apparently didn't happen, because that just looked like utter chaos. It didn't look like any kind of a planned assault or defense plan I've ever seen or been a part of. Truth Seeker says the Las Vegas Metro Police Department PDF statements they released have a 14-page statement from Campos. And Brian says Paddock clearly had an evil twin. Little Monster Pants says the only thing that makes sense is if you believe the Las Vegas final report is he's a superhero. And Marie says, so no bullet fragments were removed from Campos. Interesting. So can't match ballistics. Yeah. I think, I mean, it really would depend on how the size of the fragments, too. I know that if the fragments are too small, I don't think they can do any ballistics on them. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the size is. So, that'd be it. I'll have to read those voluntary short statements too. I'm gonna finish up working on the weapons angle here, and then I wanna do a little bit more research on that. I think I'm gonna jump into those 911 calls again, start looking more at those. Some more body camera footage was released on Las Vegas shooting channel. I'm sorry, hold it. The Las Vegas Shooting Archive channel. All right, making sure stupid thing works right. Yeah, I need to get new stuff, like new electronics, all that. Somebody should give me like $1 million for my, birthday. That would have been nice, but the only rich friend I know like that is Trump, and we don't really know each other, and we're not really friends. So, no money for me. Anywho, but yeah. So I will go ahead and keep working on that. I'll keep putting out the news footage, as quickly as I can. I put that, by the way, you've noticed probably that filter I've been putting on them. It makes them a little less clear. I'm basically doing that just so I'm trying not to piss YouTube off so they won't destroy my archive. So don't know if it'll work or not. We'll go see. Yeah, CIA says GoFundMe page. I know, I should do that. Let's see here. Chrissy B40 says, in the last dump, everyone said he was shot with a pellet gun. Yeah. And Little Monster Pants, evil twin. Hadn't even considered that. That explains how an older, retired dude in poor health carried out the shooting. There's two of him. Good detective work, Brian. And Brian SQ says, check out Shook's phone call at the end. You can hear him talking to security in the center core when he is supposed to be down the hallway. And he can't find the version where they don't cut it off. I can't find the version where they don't cut it off. True Seeker says, Secret Safe with You put out a great video today if you haven't seen it yet. So, guys, check that out if you get a chance. And like I said, Las Vegas Shooting Archive put out some more body camera footage. I don't know. He might have put out some more since I've been on doing this. Little Monster Pants says, "What's the deal with all the pellet gun talk? Why would anyone use a pellet gun during a crime?" I'm assuming maybe he looked down and saw the size of the wound and thought it was a pellet. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, that'd be one hell of a pellet gun. I'm not real familiar with pellet guns, to be honest with you, but I can't imagine I imagine the doors of Mandalay Bay are probably pretty secure, for noise issues and things like that. And so I imagine there's not very many pellet guns that would zip right through it, but whatever. Uh, CIA says, "I know the Shook family said they don't want to be interviewed." Yeah, it's probably another one where MGM went to him and said, "You better not say anything or put any liability, or we're going to hold you responsible." Kale says, "Has anyone ever seen any interviews or statements on the shots fired at Tropicana at 10:14 p.m.? Curious if there are any witnesses for that out there." I've been trying to go through the body camera footage and separate it out, separate the body camera that was responding to different casinos in different areas like Tropicana and things like that. So I'll be able to give you a better answer on that if I see anything in those. I haven't really looked through them that well. I've just been separating them out and where they're at. So I personally haven't seen any, but I will let you know. I know there's that one lady, was it Bellagio? There's the lady who did that video. We've discussed it before. Who said that she heard shooting or in this and glass breaking, but I've kind of think that may have been more of a mass panic than an actual shooting at that area. But I don't know. Brian Eskew says, "Check the timing of that phone call with the statements and timeline in the FIT report." Little Monster Pants says, "I thought they confiscated a pellet gun that night, though." I don't know. I haven't heard that, but it's possible. The fact that they had an emergency alarm going off in the whole casino at 10:30 p.m. and there is no security available at all is right in line with an urgent situation right before. Yep, all strange stuff. I did notice, like if I didn't put it out there because if you watched some of like the body camera, I'm almost remiss. I don't know. It's worth bringing up though. Um, I'm watching like this one collection of officers. I haven't put this out on my channel. It is on the LVSAs, but there's a body camera. These group of officers. They're, I don't know, an intersection somewhere in the strip, and there's a female. There's a couple female officers and like two or three male officers. But like when people are like walking by, they're like downright abusive to these people. I mean, like the female officer's like trying to calm them down, and there's a part in this exchange where the female officer actually even like kind of rebukes them, like kind of like hems them up and says, you need to stop talking to people like that and stop spinning them up, and getting them upset, pissing people off. Anyway, I just there's about 3 body cameras in the same time frame, and it's like it's very very weird. I don't know. But yeah, they're just like, yeah, keep walking, mf, or stuff like that, just being pretty abusive to people. I don't know, I thought it was a little weird because I mean most of the body cameras there, I mean some of the cops are being pretty vulgar in certain ways. They're trying to take control of the situation. They got a job to do. I understand that, but these guys there really wasn't anything going on in that area. It was just like the couple of them just wanted to be jerks just to be jerks. I don't know. I thought about it, but it was like, I don't know. It was just a bit excessive. It was so much that even the lady who was wearing the body camera even went up to him and said, "Look, stop egging people on like that. There's no reason for that." So yeah. Anyway, just mentioning it's something that came out in some of the latest dumps. All right, so I'm about to log off here. Let me read up your last comments here. Kale says there's a body camera where the officer enters the shop a little before 10:30, which shows the emergency alarm and no security around at all. There actually was a shooting indicated at the Bellagio with no 911 call placed for the report. Truth Seeker says the dispatch logs from the night do mention a pellet gun being confiscated that night somewhere on the strip. Yes. Uh, and CL says how to get it on the strip. And Little Monster Band says, after the second breach, the PA system goes off talking about drillings. Does anyone have any idea what that could possibly be about? I have a link to a video with it on it. CIA dude. So let me see. Hey, Angela. I'm sorry. I'm about to log off. It's nice to talk to you, though. Chrissy B4 says they are very mouthy to people, just being mean to people. Yeah, she told the dudes to stop. So Chrissy saw the one I was talking about. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was just like, dude, I didn't talk to people like that in Iraq, and that was a war zone, and I wasn't as rude as they were when I was, doing my job. Oh, Secret Safe with You says, good job on your live and great work on the gun usage. Keep it going, man. Impressive. Thank you. I will, definitely. Blifton1 says, gun question. Wouldn't the bullet drop due to gravity be less if you're shooting from an elevated position? Yeah. Well, you're firing at an angle, the trajectory. You always want to be above a target. I mean, any infantry tactic, you always want to shoot down because it's much easier. And it's easier to fire down on something. You don't, the angle of the bullet means you don't get as much drag from gravity. So, yeah. It is. That's why in the military, you always want the high ground. You want to be defending the high ground. One of the big, interesting history point for you, if you're familiar with the French loss of the Vietnam War at Dien Bien Phu in 1954, the reason they lost is they built their base that got destroyed in the middle of a valley, and the NVA, or what they were called the Viet Minh at the time, the Vietnamese communists, basically surrounded them, shot down on them with artillery, just shot straight down on them, just absolutely annihilated them. Fast forward to 1968, Khe Sanh, America's in Vietnam, almost the same scenario. We didn't get wiped out. We bloodied their nose really bad. What was the difference? The Marines took all the hills around Khe Sanh that prevented them from ever firing down on the base. So the next time you guys are on Jeopardy and they ask what the big difference between the Battle of Dien Bien Phu and the Battle of Khe Sanh is, you guys will know the answer. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop this broadcast and get some sleep and get ready for another fun day of work tomorrow. So, God bless you all, and I look forward to talking with you all soon.